Alright, there seems to be a lot of weapons still I have to go through in Tarkov in the Worst of the Worst series, and one of them I get a huge amount of requests for, and it is the Scar L. Wait a minute. I'm just messing with all of you, it's the VPO-209. And honestly, I would have rather talked about the Scar L, but that's going to be for a way future video. But now I gotta talk about this Carbine, and I gotta say, well, Hello everybody, this is the EpicGamingGuru. If you are new to this channel, I would like to let you know that I do talk about a lot of weapons as well as a couple of new ones that come out here and there on Tarkov as well, and I do a lot of live streaming, so whenever you get a chance, check that out as well. But either way, let's get right on to the video and talk about the VPO-209. Out of all the carbines that I could have used in Tarkov, this is definitely one of the more challenging ones to use throughout the entire game. Considering that the VPO-209 is considered a very basic and common scav weapon, you can find this weapon rather easily throughout all of Tarkov without even needing to find it. It will literally just pop up here and there as you go. Interestingly enough about the VPO-209 is that it's still interchangeable with a lot of AK parts within Tarkov, so whatever AK parts you can find that would normally work on any other standard AK in Tarkov will work on the VPO-209, and this includes a lot of separate magazines. Now I know what a lot of you are thinking, Guru, you love AKs, what's wrong with the VPO-209? Well, you see, that would be the ammunition it's using. The VPO-209 is a very strange weapon considering that it's using the .366 TKM rounds, which I don't even understand how these rounds technically would function, but they are an interesting concept. It's also interesting to note that the .366 TKM Geska, or however you would pronounce it, does 110 damage while having completely lackluster amount of penetration, with a decent chance of causing light bleed and a very low chance for heavy bleed. This would technically mean that when it comes to flesh damage, this would be one of the few AKs I've ever seen in the entire game as a carbine that does pretty decent body damage, and that's just on the simple rounds for this gun. I could definitely see how players would be willing to use the Geska rounds because of the fact that the flesh damage is just so high on this thing, and the more you keep going higher on the price for the ammunition of this gun, the more interesting the status changes for each and every single round. A good prime example of this is definitely the .366 TKM FMJ. This round has even less damage and only 23 penetration with an even lower chance on light bleeding, but heavy bleeding got increased by a certain percentage, so technically speaking, this thing could still do a better job if you're just aiming for flesh and causing heavy bleeds constantly. However, in spite of everything that I said, there is still one round that a lot of people use with the VPO-209 because it is the most common and easiest round to get from Jaeger once you unlock him, and that is the .366 TKM EKO. With a boasting price of 116 rubles, this would mean that this one single bullet per price point would make it one of the most expensive ammunition types to get at the very beginning of Tarkov. Wrap your head around that. But all of that just begs the question, is the round at least worth the rubles being thrown into it? Because you have to at least buy 120 rounds to at least have a decent amount in your magazines and also in reserve. And with that, I say kind of. What we lack in money in our wallets for trying to buy into this round, it has at least 30 penetration and 73 damage, but has a heavy percent chance of bleeding at 20% but no light bleed effect. Which means that this would only be good at the very beginning against any form of players or even in PvE at the very beginning, but overall, still not really worth the whole toll of 116 rubles. That's just insane for this round. Now there is one very specific round that we are seeing on screen that I have yet to talk about because this round is a pain in the ass. This round is not only hard to get, but it's basically a more upgraded version of any other round that you would find in an AK. So let me go ahead and explain why this round is such a pain. Although this round is technically an AP round, and most AP rounds in general in Tarkov can be difficult to get, the build requirement to be able to get this round for its good statuses of penetration of over 42, which I've actually seen way higher penetrating rounds than this, despite the fact that this round is hard to get, and the accuracy lowered by 22% doesn't really help with it either. Now, in spite of this round having at least decent, and I would have to say decent statuses for a bullet, what does it really take to even get this bullet? Because obviously this does not look like a bullet that would be available in the market easily. This round is utterly ridiculous to try to get. I am kind of deep in shock as to what it requires. I did mess up here a bit of my clip because of the fact that I didn't actually put what it required beforehand, but I do have an actual picture from the wiki itself that shows exactly what it requires, and it is absolutely insane. Just to be able to have a decent round for the 366 TKM APM, or in this case just the regular .366, you require pliers, 50 9x 39mm SPPGS, 50 PS 7.62 x 39mm PSGZH, if I can pronounce this correctly, gunpowder kite, and then just to add a kick to the balls, it requires a workbench level 3 and a wait time of 2 hours, 21 minutes, and 10 seconds. That's not even including the fact that you still have to complete a task for Jaeger just to even unlock the round, which is just absolutely abysmal to me as to why you would even do that, considering that there's even better rounds you can find just out in the field after playing Tarkov in a few raids. Okay, so after all that explanation of the rounds for the .366 TKM, is the gun even good? Well, as usual, I still gotta test out the guns, so let's just take a good look at this thing. And I have to be honest, the only reason it looks like I have a lot of experience with it is because I've used other AKs that can have a similar experience gain if you use them in Tarkov. Well, to be fair, the gun is pretty accurate, I will give it that, but again, it does not have exactly the same similar reset time as you would say a Sega 9 that I already covered in a previous video. But at least it functions, and it does a pretty good job of keeping its center mass pretty good, and even in rapid fires of constantly pressing and clicking your mouse, you would still get pretty accurate shots. Now let's talk about the customization you can do at least on the .366 VPO-209. This thing has a lot of customization options. I have to give it at least that credibility, where you're able to pretty much add just about every single part on any other AK into this VPO-209. Of course, the better question is, why would you even want to? I decided to go with a fully standard build that I normally do on most standard AKs, and these are very affordable at the very beginning of the game, costing between 40 to 50,000 rubles just for a very good standard build, and this does work effectively pretty well on just about every single AK that I've used in the game. However, you can go even crazier if you want to, but like I said before, this is just a VPO-209, and I really did not want to overspend on any attachments for a weapon that's basically a semi-auto that basically does the same thing as a Vepr 136. Alright, my build is ready, everything is insured. Let's go ahead and give this gun a full test run in factory. Of course, I have to do this in PvE mode because there's just no way in hell that I'm going to try to use this weapon in PvP mode. Although it can be used effectively, I wouldn't really put my life on it. Alright, standard factory run, and it looks like I gotta switch out my EKP sight as well because of the fact that I just really don't like the little red dot sight on it. I don't know why, but the little triangle on it feels a little bit better towards me. Don't judge me, it's just the way I use it. Sounds like I got my first experiments on my left trying to shoot at each other, possibly Usex or bears. Canteeing around corners is still a must in PvE mode, and I try my best to make sure that I don't forget that my body has momentum before I start peeking around corners. Although sometimes the game can be forgiving, it really depends on the circumstance. I could have sworn that I heard some enemies coming from this direction somewhere. Yep, sounds like he's hiding behind cover, so let's just go ahead and nade him out of there.
Fuck! Enemy frag!
If there's a party like that going on down there, it's definitely worth fragging over trying to risk getting spotted by the enemy as they're fighting each other down there. This guy's still hiding down there. Oh well, last nade charm. Good God, man, that poor guy ate bullets. Well, I have to admit, at least he's got some pretty decent gear on him. I'm expecting the second guy to at least have a pretty decent... What is that? I had no idea that the enemies love to make cursed guns as well, apparently. Thank you for horrifying me to death here, BSG. Have you ever picked something up that was so ugly that it made you question why it was built? This would be it. Well, it kills at least. Alright, based on my previous videos, I would normally end it right here and call it. I really did not want to just end it with a simple amount of kills for factory. I wanted to see and test out this gun to its full max limit. So I decided to go right back into factory and go in guns blazing and see how effective it would be in more rapid succession. And it decided to spawn me right underground with a lot of enemies right overhead. Been searching around for a good bit for an enemy. Well, that answers my request. I'm wondering where the bear and PMCs are. Oh, okay, I see how it is. We're gonna fight in the shadows then, huh? Well, I might as well fight dirty as well. Okay, I think it's about time that I just loot and get out of here. Yup, looks good to me. So in overall conclusion, the VPO-209 is actually a pretty decent carbine. It's not the greatest, it's not the best. I mean, you could get regular based AKs and just use those instead, but if you have nothing else in your hands and nothing else in your stash, by all means, pick up a VPO-209 and use it to the best of your ability in Tarkov. With attachments alone, it's pretty good, but that can be said for about every other AK. So either way, I hope you all enjoyed this video regardless. This has been EpicGamingGuru. I will be back on in the near future to be able to do some separate other videos when it comes to weapons in Tarkov. I also do a lot of live streaming if you guys want to check that out as well. Also have a rapid Discord and everything else that's going on as well, and a bunch of other stuff. So I'll be back when I'm ready to get all this set up and done, and until then, I'll see you all next time. Oh, and also like, comment, and share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video that much, and I'll see you all next time.